to this edition of Springdale Today. We're going to be talking a little bit about teaching in the district today, and joining us are some staff members from Walker Elementary School. We have Principal Lynn Ryan joining us and first-year teacher Haley Beaver.
Yes.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
We're going to be chatting today a little bit about how the district's changed over the years, as well as what it's like for you as a new teacher in your first quarter of school now that you've got that under your belt.
Yes.
Right, so let's just get to know you guys a little bit. Lynn, tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm a Springdale native. I went to kindergarten through fifth grade, or kindergarten through sixth grade, actually, because back in my day, sixth grade was at the elementary. I was a student at Westwood Elementary, and then from there went to Central Junior High and graduated from Springdale High School. Following high school graduation, in my senior year, I did a program called Cooperative Office Education at the time, and my job was working at Westwood Elementary in the office. And I was planning to go into business, as that my family had been in business, and thought that's what path I would take. But after working in the elementary school that year, I decided that I needed to go to school to become an educator. So I was the first educator in my family and went on to Southwest Baptist University, where I received my degree, and knew that I needed to come back home to teach here in my native district, and went back to my former elementary school and taught there. And then married my high school sweetheart. He joined me in college, and he was from Springdale as well, so we both came back home. And then I taught for several years before going back to school. Of having my first student come to me with a language other than English wasn't something that I had been instructed in how to support through college, so I went back to school at Arkansas Tech University and received my master's in teaching English as a second language, or TESOL. So after doing that, I then went into becoming an instructional facilitator and supporting teachers in working with ELs and looking at how we could best support English language learners with strategies and scaffolds. And then following that, I moved to the ESL department, became a curriculum specialist for ESL for elementary mainly, worked some with middle schools, worked with our family literacy programs, coordinated those, and that led me to pursue going back to school so that I could become an instructional leader and a principal, and went to University of Arkansas, and received my credentials to become a principal, and opened Sonora Middle as an assistant principal, and was there for 4 years before moving over to Walker, and this is my 10th year, I believe, at Walker, and or 9th or 10th, and as a principal. And through that, when I moved over to Walker, I finished my specialist degree in educational leadership and in superintendency.
So I didn't realize before this that you are quite literally part of the Springdale family. I mean, honestly, that's our hashtag, but you are completely living that out. So yeah. I can't wait for this conversation. I'm sure you're going to have some really fun things to share with us. Now, Haley, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here to be with us today.
Of course. Well, my resume is a little bit smaller than Miss Ryan's, but I am from Rogers, Arkansas, so I grew up in Rogers. I had a little bit of a different elementary experience. I went to what's now called Arkansas Arts Academy, and so I had a lot more arts integrated learning through elementary, and then I switched over to public schools in the 7th grade and went to Elmwood, and then graduated from Rogers High School. And then from there, I went down to Fayetteville and went to the University of Arkansas, where I graduated with my bachelor's in elementary education, and then went back for an additional year to go ahead and get my master's in the art of teaching, and then a specialized certification in gifted and talented instruction. And so, yes, and now I'm teaching at Walker, my first year teaching kindergarten, first year teaching ever, and it's been really great.
That's awesome. I'm glad you came back to Northwest Arkansas.
Yes.
Thank you for staying here.
Of course.
Now, do you have a history of education in your family at all, or are you kind of like the first year teacher and the first teacher for your family?
I have a long line. I come from a lot of aunts and cousins, grandmas that are all teachers, and so it's always kind of been, I wanted to be a teacher from the start. I lined up my dolls and I would always teach them. I wanted to be just like my aunts, great aunts. And so I kind of always knew I was going to be a teacher, just watching them. And then what I really wanted to do and my passion was education.
That's really, really super cool. And then, so what made you both want to go into teaching? Why education?
I I think as a young child, it was probably because I like to run the show. And so that's maybe why I wanted to be a teacher. But as I got older, I realized how fortunate we are here just in the States to have an education, and everyone has the opportunity. And I just realized the power behind education. And, I really am an advocate that I want everyone in the entire world to be able to receive an education. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was a part of that community that really supported education and got families involved. And then that's also one reason why I chose Springdale in Northwest Arkansas, is because I always thought I needed to go really far away from home to find a community where education is maybe not prioritized in the homes or with the families and just the community. And so then I was looking at different demographics of Northwest Arkansas and what I really wanted to serve, and realized that, wow, Springdale is exactly what I'm looking for and the type of students that I'm wanting to serve and encourage and just support, that they know that they deserve an education too. They can get it even if, they're maybe moving from home to home or from school to school, that they're going to have that education that stays with them for the rest of their life. And maybe they don't come from a family where there's higher education, but they can go to college if they want to. They can go into trades if they want to. So I think as I grew up, my desire for being a teacher kind of grew and matured with me, and just that true power that comes with knowledge.
What about you, Lynn?
Before even, I grew up having a younger sister, so I felt like I did a lot of time helping to nurture and care for her. And then I became a babysitter to a lot of kids through church and through my mom's. My mom might play tennis or go running with friends that had kids, and I would babysit their kids. And it just led to me spending a lot of time in high school babysitting and being around children, and then spending the year in high school working at an elementary, getting to see the impact that teachers can make and the work that they did with students, and seeing students get to grow and achieve and accomplish new things, and that excitement, that spark that you get to see when someone learns something new, and excitement that they have on their faces. I thought, hey, this is a great way to give back to the community, and so we decided I wanted to go into education.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing, and we're very grateful to have you both. Now, we've gotten to know you a little bit. Let's learn a little bit about Walker. What can you tell us about the school, Lynn?
Well, I think Walker is a great place to work and learn every single day. And we start every morning with our announcement saying, work hard and play hard and make great choices. And when we get to great choices, our students love to shout that out across the building. And so Walker is a school that it does just that. Our students do work hard. They build great relationships with each other, and they get to play hard as well. I feel like that it's a community of educators and students who also look at ways to serve the community and to be involved in the community. And so I think that if you were to be in our presence, you would feel like you were one of us. Think that we're a very welcoming school. We love inviting the community in and others in to join us in our work.
And what grades does it serve?
We have pre-K through 5th grade.
All right. And then Haley, what's it been like your first quarter as a part of the Walker family?
Exactly as she's described. Very welcoming, the Walker family. I was nervous going into a school as a first-year teacher. I'm fresh out of college. Sometimes that can be a little bit nerve-wracking, the new girl in town. But everyone just embraced me, brought me in. People on my grade level team has been amazing and just helping me get into the flow, the groove of teaching, and also teachers that are across the building that I don't get to see very often throughout the day. If I see them in the lounge or in the mornings, it's always, hey, how are you? And they're keeping up with things that I'm doing. If I'm posting about something I did over the weekend, then they're asking me how that was and checking in on me, making sure that I'm doing okay as a first-year teacher. And so it's just a welcoming community. And like she said, we get parents involved, and all the parents are reaching out to me. We recently had a field trip, kindergarten did, to the pumpkin patch, and I had about half of my parents show up and come, and they were all willing to just jump in and help me out and support all the kids in kindergarten, not just their own. And it's just all together. It's a wonderful community to be a part of.
Thank you for sharing that with me. Now, you are not that far from when you graduated high school. What is your experience like in your classroom compared to what you recall experiencing as an elementary student?
It's a lot of fun because I'll bring back things that I remember that I did and get to tweak them to match my students. But it's also interesting to see things that I did growing up in school that are maybe just a little bit different. Like whenever I was in school, back in the day, it was all textbooks and writing, hands-on paper learning, pencils, pens, and now we have our technology that we're slowly bringing in with kindergarten or getting on our Chromebooks, but it's a lot more hands-on play and involved in getting those actual experiences with the learning. Whereas I remember I sat at my desk and I read and took notes, and not that I would expect my kindergartners to do that, but even if I did, that's just not a part of the learning these days. And so it's different how I went to school and then what I'm teaching now. So there's a lot of alignment, but it's also so different.
Well, and then Lynn, as someone who grew up in the district, you must have witnessed just insurmountable change.
I definitely did. And in fact, when I was in kindergarten, one of the things on our report card was whether or not we could skip and hop. And that's no longer on the report card, is it?
No, it's not.
And then I remembered kindergarten was half day for me as well, which was also, if we tried to fit all that we do into half days, that would be a great challenge, wouldn't it, Ms. Beaver?
Yes.
And then in later years, my desks were all in a row, and the work we did was completely independent. And the teacher had a desk in the back of the room that she would typically be at. If we needed assistance, we would go up to her to receive that help.
Now, have you had any experiences, Haley, that have kind of stood out for you in these first few weeks of school? Any anecdotes you might be able to share with us?
Stood out to me. Honestly, I had no idea that I would have students coming into kindergarten with as much knowledge as some of my students have. I really thought I would be starting at the very beginning, the very basics with all students. And that's really not the case at all. It's amazing to see just what world experiences in their first 4 or 5 years teach them, and then they're able to come in first day and apply that knowledge. That kind of took me back a little bit, a happy surprise. It was obviously a great thing. And so that I wasn't really expecting. I was really thinking it was going to be from step number 1, let's learn our names. Step number 2, let's learn exactly the letters and numbers, and some of them that may be true, but for others, it's really, I think I've been surprised at how hard I've had to work to find a challenge for them, to really meet them where they're at and help teach them up, and not hold them back or let them get bored. That's really surprised me for some of my kids.
I wonder if that's a factor with just technology and what they have access to today that maybe they didn't have access to back in the day.
I would say I would attribute it to our pre-K program and the work that our kids are now doing starting at 3 and 4 in our schools.
Then I'm going to take it because you're the authority. So that's fantastic. So you're setting these students up for success before they even get in a situation where they have to be on a certain track and a certain path, right? So that's awesome. That's awesome. How many kids do you have in the pre-K program?
40. We have 2 classes, 20 in each room.
And are they all in your feeder pattern, or do they come from areas all over the city?
They could be, but the majority of them are Zone 4 Walker and will stay with us.
Okay, good. So they're transitioning right from that preschool experience, and that's really cool. Then they're not going to have to get reacclimated and like a whole new school and starting over.
Right.
Right, awesome. I'm selling your program just because I'm loving it, not because I'm trying to eat them more, but that's really cool. I didn't realize all about it. Now, have you seen things change quite a bit within the schools? I mean, I wonder how many schools we had when you were attending compared to our 31 now.
Well, I don't know, but I know that Walker Elementary was not built when I started. So there were quite a few schools that got added throughout the year and then have continued to be added as I have been working in the district. This is my 28th year. I did take a few years off to have my children. I have 4 boys. And so, but just I've seen a lot of changes through the years. technology. I remember hearing that in the year 2000 we were going to be testing on computers and devices, and that being a big change. And now it's the norm, right? I mean, Ms. Beaver's students have already used their technology to do a screener for Atlas. So we are definitely evolving and changing, and our kids' needs are changing too, and we're changing right along with them and working to prepare them to be the very best themselves that they can, and ensuring that we meet their needs. Like Ms. Beaver said, if they come into us knowing standards, we're going to work above those standards to help increase their learning. And if they need extra supports to access that standard, then we're going to provide that as well.
What is Atlas?
The Arkansas Teaching and Assessment System. Arkansas Teaching and Learning Assessment System.
All right. Well, okay, so where are you guys going to go from here? You've progressed all the way through the school district and to becoming, really, honestly, I mean, you can take Dr. Cleveland's job from here, I guess, right? Just kidding, Dr. Cleveland. We all like our jobs.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, what do you guys think for next steps? You're just beginning your career, and you honestly, being a principal, where do you go from here?
I would love to stay in the classroom. That's my plan for right now. Stay in the classroom. I'm loving kindergarten. It's been, as silly as it sounds, like a dream come true to be in kindergarten. It's exactly where I wanted to be. And so I plan to stay in the classroom for as long as I can. You know, I do have my gifted and talented endorsement as well. So maybe one day I might want to do a gifted program. One day, administration might be in the picture for me, but that would be years down the line. I want to get lots of experience and know what classroom teachers, what it is like, and then also what they would need before I would go into that at all. But yeah, so right now, classroom. Stay in the classroom.
And is that the right place for her, Lynn, the classroom? Is she proven to be a teacher and somebody that you really want in your classroom?
I would love to answer that. I will say she is a first-year teacher, but you would never know it if you walked into her room. She has her students engaged in the work. She's animated, and you would look and see that everything was organized and routines and procedures are solidly in place, and her students are learning, and differentiation is evident in how she addresses the needs of all the students in her classroom. So I will say she's right where I love to see her at the moment and where we need her at the moment, but that doesn't mean that, you know, down the road she might want to use that GT credential to have GT program, or she could pursue administration or anything that she chooses to do. So I feel like she'll be prepared to do it and do it well.
And do you have any plans for any continued education, or, I mean, because you've taken very significant and intentional steps in your career.
Yes. I will just say that in education, we consider ourselves lifelong learners, so then I'm always learning, and whether it's through a formal program like being back into college, or whether it's webinars or professional development, I will always be learning what I need to do for my role and my position, and looking for new ways to learn and grow. So, but plan to stay right where I am.
And then what would you guys say to somebody, any of our students who might be considering education as a career? What advice might you guys give them?
I will say it's an incredibly rewarding opportunity to have an impact on the lives of young people, and I think that the very best thing is getting to see your own students come back. And one of mine is teaching kindergarten across the hall from Miss Beaver that was in my classroom at Tyson Elementary. And so I think it's a unique career path, because you do get to be the person who impacts all of the other community partners and positions across the city that make us be who we are. We need to have our students to grow up and fill those roles. And so we get to have a place in that.
Yeah, I would say that if you have any inkling of a calling or a passion for it, to go ahead and pursue it. Just try. The teachers in the classroom, I think, that are really going to be effective are those that really care and that really have that passion. And so if you feel it, then just go for it. It can be intimidating. It's definitely hard. I never knew I could be so tired at 24 years old. But it really is so rewarding, and just getting to see the growth. It's been 1 quarter, but just seeing how much my students have grown since screening them in the summer prior to the start of the year. It's just amazing to see what they can do. And so all that hard work that we do really pays off in getting to see them grow and really love learning. And so just share your passion, get in the classroom, teach.
It's really neat that you'll get to see the kids as they first come in, right? And you'll get to watch them grow up into the school. I mean, everybody gets to do that to a degree, but they're literally starting in your class.
Yeah.
So that's neat.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so we've talked about so much, and you guys have shared some really cool stuff with us. Is there anything that you guys would want to share that I haven't thought to consider as part of the conversation?
Well, I will say Springdale is a great place to work and learn, and I think that is because we embrace everyone as family. With Springdale Family as our hashtag is so appropriate because that is truly who we are.
I would agree.
I would second that. Yes.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you for serving our kids. Thank you for staying in Northwest Arkansas, Haley. Lynn, thank you for your investment in the district and our families. It's amazing. I don't think either one of you will realize the ripples of what you've done and just how many lives. You can calculate how many kids went through your school you taught, but I don't think you will ever be able to really realize how many families you've touched. So thank you for everything you're doing. We're very grateful to have you both on staff.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
having
thank
us.
All right, and we will see you next time on Springdale Today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Jordan, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
Springdale Today is a production of Springdale Public Schools Communication Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates and behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us in the future
as we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.